Hi, everyone. Welcome to Trailblazer CYP podcast. I'm Natalie Clark. I'm so excited that you're here with me today. We have an amazing guest. I would love to introduce to you Mr. Brent Edwards. He is the Navy Child and Youth Program Coordinator from Commander Navy Installation Command in Millington, Tennessee. Brent is a key part of our program because he is the connection point between Trailblazer CYP and the Department of Defense. Brent, welcome.
Hi, thanks for having me. Excited to be here today.
Thank you so much for being here with us today. We cannot wait to hear all about Navy Child and Youth programs and your career path through being an intern all the way to what you do now. So, do you mind just taking a minute and telling us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, so again, my name is Brent Edwards. I'm the Youth Programs Coordinator for Commander Navy Installations Command, Navy Child Youth Programs. Father of two. I have a young daughter of 8, Amelia, and Madeline, newly 6 as of a few weeks ago. Wife Rhea, live in Memphis, Tennessee, just southeast of Millington, Tennessee. Grew up in Oregon, spent a lot of time overseas working for the military. Enjoy soccer, volleyball, all the different things in life that it brings to me.
Excellent. Tell us a little bit more about how you got into your career with the military. What does that mean? Are you enlisted? Are you a civilian? Give us all the details.
Interesting you asked that question because I've been asked that so many times, probably just most recently, but also through my career. So never was active duty military, but I think a portion of the way that I carry myself is because I've worked in and around the military for so long. So, and it's been more than 20 years if I count my internship years, which I do count my internship years. So I was first introduced to the military in while in college. So I was recruited by an organization called Camp Adventure Child and Youth Services, and they they did a great job recruiting because they said, "Hey, do you want to work with children? Do you want to live overseas for a portion of time? Do you want this organization to pay for your flights and your meals and your lodging?" And I was hooked from the beginning. Didn't really know what I was getting myself into, but ended up, taking multiple internships over a short period of time, and then also scaffolding that with making a lot of connections and then turning that into a career. So I was never, again, I was never active duty, but I've been a part of the military community for over 20 years.
That is amazing. And tell us more about the internships that you did with Camp Adventure. What kind of work were you doing?
So yes, Camp Adventure Child and Youth Services, who is an organization out of University of Northern Iowa, and before then it was University of Oregon as being their main headquarters site. And they recruit college students to work with both school age, our 5 to 12-year olds, as well as our child development, so our infants through preschoolers. They also have some learn to swim programs as well. And in the wake of COVID, they discontinued their program. But when I was in college at Oregon State University, I was recruited. And again, didn't really know what I was getting myself into outside of working with kids and traveling overseas. And I ended up working in multiple countries. So I worked 6 internships through 3 years. So I was in Germany, I was in Japan 3 times, I was in Hawaii as well as in Florida. All those different opportunities working in different countries as well as different states had some uniqueness to them in a sense that I was the first summer, I was a camp intern working directly with children. And then I elevated into the position of a camp director. So I had more responsibilities, not only of my camp interns that were facilitating the camps alongside me, but also direct connection to the leadership team across Camp Adventure Child and Youth Services. Each of the locations had, different populations, whether it was Army connected, Navy connected families, Air Force connected, et cetera, as well as some, retiree communities and reserve communities as well. And just really enjoyed all of the experiences I had. I purely stayed with school age care the entire time during my service with Camp Adventure Child and Youth Services. However, Camp Adventure also recruited students to work in their child development programs and their learn to swim programs and their outdoor recreation programs. But I'm a purist. I stayed with the youth program side of the house as far as the older children.
Awesome. And then after you were finished with all of your amazing internships, how did you make the pivot into a full-time career? What did that look like for you?
So before Camp Adventure, my original plan was to work for the International YMCA in New York City. I can't even remember where that idea came to me because even before then, I was thinking about working for Boys and Girls Clubs of America because my older brother had got a job when I was in high school at the Boys and Girls Club that I was attending, and I thought it was cool that he was going to be able to receive a paycheck and play dodgeball all day. That was the context of working with youth and teens when I was a teenager. And then somehow the International YMCA in New York City kind of hit my radar. When I got recruited for Camp Adventure and started working for them, what I didn't realize is as I was taking on those 6 internships over 3 years and making connections within the military community, but also making connections in the Camp Adventure Child and Youth Services community, that I was building this large resume of potential references, but also just connection points to career opportunities, whether I wanted to work in youth sports or morale, welfare, and recreation, also known as MWR, if I wanted to work in the Fleet and Family Support Center as far as a mental health specialist, if I wanted to work in the hospitals that are on the installation, or again, at the youth centers. So, because I had all of these connections, both in Camp Adventure as well as within the military child and youth program spaces, I chose to pivot into child and youth programs because I had made all those connections. My last internship was in Yokosuka, Japan, when I was a fifth year in college, and a position in Key West, Florida opened up as the teen coordinator. I had made a connection with the teen coordinator in Yokosuka and asked him a little bit about the program that I had interned in before. And he helped me polish up my resume. He helped me prep for the interview that I took, which was middle of the night Japan, early morning in Florida, and I ended up getting offered the position. So my pivot wasn't as difficult or rough as other people's pivots. I found it to be very smooth because I had accepted an internship in Key West when I was a junior in college. And then when I was a fifth year, I found out they had an opening at the same youth center that I worked at as an intern, and then utilized the connections I had in Yokosuka to not only prepare for the interview, but I was at the Yokosuka Teen Center when I was interviewing over the phone with the Key West management team. So my pivot was merely making connections and then utilizing those connections to seek out a career path.
Oh, connections are such a great thing to have. And at our program, Trailblazer Child and Youth Program, we're all about connections. So it's really fun to hear you talk about the way that all these different connections you were able to build over your 6 internships genuinely paid off for you. It's such a cool story. Thank you for sharing that with us. Brent, tell us a little bit more about how a Trailblazer CYP intern can make those connections at the military installation. Do they just walk up to anyone and say, "Hey, I'm Natalie. What do you do?" Or how do you recommend our interns going about that?
You could certainly take that strategy to start talking to random people. You might get the side eye from certain individuals that are walking through. My immediate strategy for any intern is to start with your nucleus small. Start with the youth center or the CDC staff members. Start asking them questions about the community and how to, hey, I want to be a physical therapist. Who should I talk to on the installation if I want to find a physical therapy job here at the installation or somewhere else? And they're going to probably direct you to either Fleet and Family Support Center or the fitness center. They have those connections already because they've been there before. And if the staff members at the youth center and the CDC don't know who to talk to, they're probably going to ask one of their coworkers of, well, go and check out this person. Like they might actually know. So start with the folks that you are going to be spending the most time with as far as their recommendations about who to talk to make connections, and then start to branch out. A lot of our installations, they have Fleet and Famous support centers, and they have personnel there that career guidance counselors. Like those are perfect people to go and ask about different opportunities to connect on installation. When I was an intern, I was seeking out sports opportunities. I wanted to be a part of volleyball and soccer or anything else that I could find on the installation. So I went into the fitness center and started playing pickup basketball, and that led to volleyball, and then that led to flag football, and that led to other sports that were on the installation and joining different sports leagues that were there for the 12 to 14 weeks that I was at the installation. So Sometimes it's just walking through a door and asking questions about a sports league or a profession or a special event. Our military installations also have marketing teams and they have social media accounts. So sometimes making connections through those spaces as far as like, oh, there's going to be a 4th of July event. I'm going to go to that and make other connections, whether it's your intent might just be to, I want to have some fun over the weekend during the, Independence Day, celebration, but that might lead into, I met somebody while I was there as far as like this person was in charge of this booth and I found out more about the installation or whatever else. So I would say start small by talking with the folks that are at your youth center or at your CDC that you're working alongside, and then start to build out your connections with other departments that are on the installation, as well as just sometimes walking through a door and asking questions. They're all going to have hours of operation and they're going to have staff members that answer questions in the first place because most of the places that are operating on an installation that are for quality of life are there to support your quality of life. So they're going to be there to answer questions for you. So that would be my strategy is asking as many people, but starting small with the youth center and CDC staff and then branching out from there.
I would love to hear a little bit more about what the Navy installations that our program serves is looking for in a good intern. Can you give us a little bit more detail about what the Navy programs expect, how our interns can show up in the best possible way to get the most out of their internship and to contribute the most to the families who are in each installation?
Yeah, absolutely. So great question. When Navy Child Youth Programs is thinking about Trailblazer Child Youth Program interns and what they're going to bring to the table, they want a fresh perspective. They want energy. They want people that are passionate about working with kids. I mean, it's so critical for these young people. They only got one shot at a childhood as well as their adolescence. So why not give them an optimal experience? And these children, these teens, they look up to the interns just like they look up to the staff members that are there year round until their next PCS, or whether the staff members are PCSing in moving stations, or if it's the children themselves or the staff members for that matter. So really having that fresh perspective and that energy and a passion for working with kids is so critical. We have seen interns come in that they don't have as much experience working with kids, but they're still coming in with energy and passion, and that's what's important as well. If an intern comes in with a bag of tricks, they have 10 small group activities ready to go out of their back pocket. If they have a skill of their own as far as playing a sport or an instrument, or if they like to knit or so, those types of attributes when interns come in are also beneficial because these children are just looking for opportunities outside of school to also find their spark. So if an intern comes in with a spark as far as like playing the guitar, and that's the same spark that a child may or may not know that they have themselves, then all the more power to them. We are also looking for interns that are looking to move into our space in the future, whether they know it or not, because the reality is we're always looking for staff members once they have graduated college and they're looking for a career path. So it's always beneficial to know that the interns have some type of a passion in this space, and this might be the career path they take. But the reality is, not all interns are going to take this career path as well. They may need an internship like through Trailblazer Child and Youth Programs to know that, you know what, working with kids is not really my cup of tea. And that's okay too. We're willing to roll the dice and bring people in that have that energy, that passion for working with kids. And if it's temporary, it's temporary. But if it becomes their career path long term, so be it. Because we need pipelines to the next generation of talent that's going to work with our kids and raise them up to be the next leaders of the world.
Can you tell us a little bit about the culture at an installation? Like, what does life look like? What does it mean to be on time when we're talking in a military sense? Tell us a little bit more about the chain of command, some things that we may not know if we haven't spent time on a military installation before.
I start to reminisce about my own experience as an intern, the when I was first learning about military culture. I was at University of Oregon when I was going through my first training with Camp Adventure, and they're talking about military culture and about how it's not cliche, it's actually true that if you're on time, you're late, but if you're 5 minutes early, you're on time. And it's so important to have those types of life lessons ingrained to you early on in your experience as a Trailblazer Child and Youth Program intern or anybody working in the military space as well. When I think about the culture of the military and thinking about young people, resiliency is not just a buzzword, it's something that they live by, that they can actually truly bounce back from adverse and trying experiences, but also resilience in a sense that sometimes you just have to be even keeled when you have all these high moments as well, whether it's a family member coming home or getting a duty station assigned to you that you've been really looking forward to, or reconnecting with a young person that you knew in a different school or a different sports session or sports season as well. So resilience is such a huge buzzword, but also it's truly the way that our young people are living their lives. I talked about being on time. Some of the other things that I didn't really recognize until I was at a few of my internship locations is how there's so much pride within the military community when it comes to the United States and our country. And there's some little things that come out about that as far as like every single morning they're playing the national anthem across all the different military bases. And people stop if you're jogging or walking, people stop if you're driving your car, and everyone around the world in all these different military installations are pausing to listen to and pay respect to the national anthem. And then at the end of the day, during sunset, they're playing revelry, and people again, whether you're jogging or walking, if you're driving a car or riding a bike, everybody stops. And revelry's been playing as like a domino across the world, across all these military installations. And that connection is so huge across the military. And even though the world can feel really, really big, the military community is really tight knit, even though the scale and scope that they're spread out across the world. Everybody knows everybody. And that's one of the biggest appreciations that I had early on and to this day is the connections that you make and the reliance you have on your fellow community member to look out for you, whether it's changing a flat tire, taking your kids to school, or figuring out where you're going to live at, restaurants to frequent, what the train system or the bus system looks like in a certain location. So some of those themes that always came through for me when I was learning about the military as far as being pride and being resilient and being connected across whether it was a small installation community to the extra large installation communities.
Awesome. Yeah, it is really interesting to see the sense of community, and our interns often comment about how they're immediately brought into the fold and they feel like part of the military family. They have all of these Navy CYP staff members who welcome them and say, "Do you have plans this weekend? Here's something great to do," or "We're having a potluck. Why don't you come join us?" And it has been beautiful to witness that inviting, welcoming spirit among pretty much every military installation that we've served. So it's great to just visualize the way like the national anthem is played in the morning around the world in so many locations. I kind of got chills when you were telling me about that. It is something that's super cool to be part of as a Trailblazer CYP intern. Tell us a little bit about what what the families are like that our interns will be serving. What's their story? Help our interns understand why their job as an intern is so important and how they fit into the wheel of everything that's happening on an installation.
Sure. I'll have to say from the very beginning, there's no cookie cutter military family. But all of these families have so much nuance and detail and uniqueness to them, whether it's a dual active duty military family or if it's a military family that has one active duty member and a working spouse or a non-working spouse, if it's a single family household, if it's retirees, if it's Border Patrol or NATO, if it's Air Force, if it's Army or Marine Corps, they're if they're from multiple countries that happen to have also citizenship with the United States as well as other countries for that matter. So there is no cookie cutter military family. I should say that from the beginning. What I know to be a common thread is that if a military family that has children participating in a child and youth program, whether it's a CDC, a 24/7 facility, a school age care program, a teen program, whatever else it is. What is common across all of those families is that they need to have the peace of mind that their children are being taken care of, whether it's a custodial program, recreational, special event, it doesn't matter. They need the peace of mind that their children are safe and thriving in care. Because if they don't have that peace of mind, they can't focus on their mission. And their mission could be anything from I'm the veterinarian of the installation, I'm a submariner, I'm a nuclear specialist, I'm an air traffic controller, I'm a weapons specialist. It doesn't matter. They need the peace of mind that whenever they're at their desk, their plane, their boat, wherever they're at, they need the peace of mind that their children are taken care of so they can focus on their mission, whatever the mission is. And that's a common thread for all of our military families if they have children in our care. I'll add on to
Yeah,
that by saying the interns play such a critical role in that support system. We think about all the joint chiefs and elected officials, and they talk about mission readiness and family readiness. While our interns they contribute to that readiness, whether it's mission, military, or family readiness, because they're a part of that family now that's taking care of children, so their parents can focus on their mission. It's so critical that we have interns coming in, that we have government employees there, that we have contractors, that we have this mixed solution of family members that are taking care of the larger family unit of the military. And it doesn't go unnoticed that Trailblazer Child and Youth programs are a part of that overall village that's taking care of the family now.
thank you. Yeah, it's just thinking through the different elements that every person brings to any mission within the military and the Department of Defense and how many people it takes to support these missions is truly overwhelming and inspiring. And it's awesome that our interns get to be a critical part of that. Is there anything else you want to share with our potential interns as they're getting ready to embark on summer internships this year?
The biggest piece of advice I give to any intern coming in, whether you are a first-time intern or a veteran, and you could be a veteran of two, three, four, five, how many of your internship locations you've gone to, is keep an open mind about the places that you're going to. Because even if you're going back to a place that you've been before, the community has evolved. There's going to be new faces on that installation as well as around that installation. There's going to be new children in those programs. If you're brand new, also keep an open mind because you never know the connections you're going to make with the children and how that's going to affect you long term, whether it's your career path or the memories you have down the road. You never know if the connections you're going to make professionally alongside your fellow interns and if you have a reunion 20 years later, or if you see them at the next location that you have an internship at, or if you utilize them in a reference letter, as you're seeking post college opportunities. You never know the connections you're going to make with military members and see them, on a family vacation later on in life, or if you see them at another duty station. The reason I bring up like keep an open mind is because you never know how these people are going to show up in your life later on. I still have connections with some of the first interns that I ever worked with 20 years ago. I still have connections with some of the family members. I still have connections with some of the kids that are now, of course, grown, and some of them have their own children now, and some of them are active duty, and some of them are civilian or wherever they're else at. So keep an open mind with the spaces and the connections you're making. Also keep an open mind about the places that you're going to, because there are so many opportunities to see different cultures, different communities, try different cuisine. It was your first time going on a bus or a train or seeing a cultural site that's, foreign to you. So keeping an open mind really provides you the opportunity to also make connections and to fully experience this opportunity to work within the military and be a part of that community, as well as the potential for this to have lasting effects on you individually.
That's wonderful advice. Thank you so much, Brent. It's been a pleasure chatting with you today. We're really grateful for all you do to connect Utah Tech and Trailblazer CYP to these amazing opportunities around the world. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you.